The 2.0 update for Cyberpunk added some huge secret changes, including a brand new weapon and one that we couldn't get before. And this Prejudice rifle is awesome because of the amazing synergy it now has with the Pride pistol. If you kill an enemy with the pistol, then the rifle will not consume ammo for the next 5 seconds. And to clarify, that means your ammo counter will not change for as long as the perk is active. To make it even better, the perk for the Pride has been reworked and it's pretty much the same as the Prejudices now. So if you kill an enemy with the rifle and then swap back to the Pride, that weapon will also have unlimited ammo for 5 seconds. There is no cooldown on this, so constantly swapping between the two after getting kills pretty much gives you infinite ammo all of the time. And I'd always open an engagement with Pride, as that one also has increased headshot damage as long as you're at high health. Both weapons also deal guaranteed critical hits on their first shot, so with those two buffs together, it's very likely you can kill an enemy with a single headshot. From that point, keep swapping weapons after every kill and you won't have to reload for an entire fight. Finally, both weapons also deal increased damage against elite enemies, so the ones marked with this skull icon. If you want to get them yourself, they're a reward for going with the Rogue and Johnny ending. But where you previously would only keep the Pride pistol, if you replay that ending now, you also receive the Burst Fire Prejudice rifle. I'm not entirely sure if you also need to pick them up during the mission, but just in case, you can grab the Prejudice when gearing up in the afterlife. It's on one of the tables, and the Pride can be picked up next to the door you came from when entering the final boss room. So you can do that on an old save where you can immediately access the ending, but I'd actually recommend starting a new save to play through the opening again, because CDPR secretly added a new weapon to one of the early story missions. It's a knife called the Nehan, which, like the Prejudice, has some incredible synergy with another unique weapon, the Satori. Both weapons can be picked up from the early story mission, the Heist. The Satori is still in the old location in the AV on top of the roof. And this new Nehan knife can be grabbed from Saburo's body in the middle of the apartment. Now, since the Nehan is a knife, you can hold the aim button to throw it, and the special thing about it is that hitting an enemy with a throw will instantly cause them to start bleeding. The same is true for the Satori's new Unsheathed attack, which you perform by stowing the weapon and then holding the attack button. But the real fun begins when you start combining the two. If you apply bleed on an enemy with one weapon, then apply another instance of bleed with the other, they will become hemorrhaged instead. This drains their health even quicker, but it also restores your own health. And it's worth keeping in mind that melee weapons have become a lot more powerful in general with this new update, thanks to new skills like bullet parries and finishers. So it's very viable to make a build around these two weapons in specific by investing in the reflexes skill tree for blades and the cool tree for knives. And there is another melee weapon that's received a big increase in power, but first, if you enjoyed the video so far, it would be awesome if you could leave a like and subscribe, as we'll be covering the Phantom Liberty DLC on the channel as well. Now, as I said, the Satori is not the only melee weapon that's received some big changes, as the unique perk for the Jinchu Maru has also been reworked. Instead of synergizing with the Koreshnikov cyberware, it now triggers when you are using optical camo, which is slotted in the integumentary system. You then slot this cyberware in your quick use slot, so where you normally have your grenade, to turn invisible. And while you are invisible, all your attacks with the Jinchu Maru deal guaranteed critical hits. The katana also deals increased damage against elite enemies, so when you turn invisible with this blade in hand, nothing stands a chance. The final hit of your 3-hit combo is also a guaranteed critical, so even outside of the insane power spike you get when you use camo, it's still a very powerful sword. And if you're, by the way, wondering how to get the Jinchu Maru, I'll make sure there are links to videos or guides for each weapon in the video description. But it's not just melee weapons that have seen some changes, as the powerful revolver Comrade's hammer has also seen a small change that makes it a lot more powerful. This single shot hand cannon deals amazing damage but needs to reload after every shot, and the reload is quite lengthy. But as of patch 2.0, you can instantly reload the hammer if you hit an enemy with a quick melee attack. I definitely recommend grabbing the Mad Dash skill from the reflexes tree, as this allows you to easily close the distance and slap an enemy in the face to instantly reload your weapon. But being able to completely skip the lengthy reload animation makes one of my favorite weapons from before the update even more powerful. And the Comrade's hammer is of course a crafted weapon, which have all received some changes changes thanks to patch 2.0. Previously, you needed specific skills from the crafting tree to make and use weapons from a certain rarity. Those skills are now gone, which means that anyone can craft and use the Comrade's hammer as long as you have the required materials. We'll leave a link to the location of the crafting schematic in the video description for if you want to get it yourself. And the same is also true for the Xing Chong shotgun, although with the new update I think the term rocket launcher is more appropriate. This smart shotgun is still capable of locking onto multiple targets, 6 to be precise, but instead of homing bullets, you now fire a barrage of homing missiles that deal a lot of damage. It makes an already powerful weapon even stronger, as you're pretty much carrying a mobile artillery piece around. The explosion will often knock enemies on the ground as well, so you'll have time to load up the next shot. The only thing you need to be wary of is when enemies get too close, as the explosion can damage you too. But you can kind of turn this to your advantage, as your reload speed at low health is increased with this weapon. Just be careful not to blow yourself up. Overall, really fun that this now feels like a proper endgame reward, which is fitting as you can only get it after finishing the main story at least once. If you want to know where to get the crafting schematic for the Xing, I'll link to our previous video on the weapon in the description. V's iconic Dying Night pistol has also received an upgrade, including a visual change, as the weapon now has a tiny bayonet that you can use for quick melee attacks. It's not just for show either, as hitting an enemy with the melee will trigger a damage over time effect that's nice for some extra damage. The Dying Night will also deal increased damage while you are moving, so if you plan on using it, I'd recommend also picking up the multitasker skill from the reflexes tree so you can shoot while sprinting. Finally, successive hits should apply the shock effect to enemies, but while I definitely see the electrical effect build up, the status effect does not seem to trigger. Still though, before the update, the Dying Night simply had increased headshot damage and reload speed, so it's definitely a more unique weapon now. To get it, finish the heist main mission, then head to Wilson's store close to your starting apartment where you can pick it up for free. There have also been changes to Jackie's trusted pistol, La Chingona Dorada, that is now perfect for if you can consistently hit headshots. Every headshot you deal increases your crit damage and your burn chance, meaning that after hitting a couple of headshots, the Dorada can also set enemies on fire. The perk description also reads: the next time you equip La Chingona Dorada, you gain extra ammo equal to the number of headshots. What that means is that if you hit headshots with the Dorada, then swap to a different weapon and back, every round that was a headshot with Jackie's pistol will have been added back to the magazine. It's certainly a nice feature, but you really have to play around it, as it requires constant weapon swapping, and unlike the Nehan and the Pride, there is no synergy with another weapon. You get the Dorada from the Hero's Side mission that becomes available after completing the heist. That mission also rewards you with a cool free motorcycle. We'll link to our video on it in the video description. But it is clear that the iconic pistols have received a lot of love this update, as next to the ones I already mentioned, the Archangel revolver has also received a perk overhaul. The weapon can now be fired in full auto by holding the trigger in exactly the same rhythm as Samurai's song Archangel, which is of course very fitting considering the weapon used to belong to Samurai guitarist Gary Eurodyne, who gives it to you during his quest chain. It starts with the mission Holding On, and then you have to keep playing until you reach the mission A Like Supreme, where Gary will hand you the pistol. In order to make the most out of this full auto mode, I recommend picking up the Focus, Head-to-Head and Deep Breath skills from the Cool Tree. This combination of perks slows down time when you aim when your stamina is full, and your shots also won't consume any stamina. This buff normally lasts for 2.5 seconds, but for every kill we score, we reset the duration. So you can easily line up multiple headshots and keep extending the buff, which makes this revolver even more powerful. The final part of the perk, successive hits after short intervals knock enemies to the ground, did not seem to trigger for me. So if it does work for you, or if you found any other major weapon changes, let us know in the comments, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe, as you can expect a ton of videos on the Phantom Liberty DLC as well. If one of those is already up by the time you're watching this video, you can watch it by clicking on the screen, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.